What's up, everybody? Mike Lindsley back with you for an ML Sports Take. It's all brought to you by Stanley Law Offices, Welch and Company Jewelers, and our terrific friends at Stumble and Monkey Brewing Company. If you're in and around Western New York, in Victor, get on over to Stumble and Monkey. They've got all the great beers, and you can, of course, shop online as well. Go get them on Facebook. Go get them on Instagram. Stumble and Monkey Brewing Company is a proud ML Sports Platter sponsor. I mean, look, the Bills dominated. I mean, they played like a near perfect game against New England last evening. And I'll tell you what, it was led by Josh Allen. I mean, he was so effective, so efficient, running on the right plays. Dable had an unbelievable, I thought, offensive play calling game. He was just fantastic. I mean, look at these numbers from Josh Allen, right? 21 of 25 for 308 yards and 5 touchdowns. And he also had 66 yards on the ground. I mean, you know, his QBR, unbelievable, 98.5, right? Like the latest, the last, I should say, number one QBR in the metrics universe, in our metrics modern era, was Tom Brady in the 2007 divisional round against Jacksonville. It was 98. Josh Allen beat that. He was unbelievable last night, hitting everybody in stride. Couple of drops and a couple of, Allen lasers, but you take those all day long when Allen's going to put up those kind of numbers and dominate a Belichick defense, the way he did. And you could kind of tell right from the get-go. The field was a little bit slick, but it wasn't something that was going to deter the Bills' skill players. And the Bills drove right down, right away, right? They got the ball. Drove for over 5 minutes. Dawson Knox touchdown. Got the ball back. Drove 80 yards, 10 plays, another 5 minutes. Boom. I mean, this team didn't punt the entire time as well. How about that? So it was 14-0 by the time you could blink, and at the end of the first quarter, and you're like, okay, maybe one more score, right? Let's see what happens here. And they got it. Devin Singletary, of course, the PAT was blocked. Tyler Bass ended up missing, getting that one blocked, rather. Then Singletary goes in again, and then the Patriots get a field goal at the end of the half to make it 27-3. At that particular point, it was so funny to read social media comments. Oh, but we've been here before. The Patriot fans come out. Oh, remember 28-3 in the Super Bowl? I do. It was late in the third quarter, and you had number 12 at quarterback. You ain't coming back 27-3 with a rookie quarterback unless something wild happens in the football hemisphere. You're not coming back in that situation, and the Patriots did not come back. The Bills, it was just pedal to the metal right from the chute in the third quarter. Bills get the ball back. 6 plays, 58 yards, just over 4 minutes. Boom. Emmanuel Sanders. What a laser again from Josh Allen. Ridiculous pass. 33-3. Bourne gets a touchdown for the Patriots. Then the Bills come back with another spectacular drive, mixing in the pass, mixing in the run. Josh Allen rolling around. Gabe Davis, 77 yards over 9 plays, 5.5 minutes. Made it 40-10. It was a laugher at that point. Tommy Doyle, for God's sakes, got in the act. With the Josh Allen fake pitch and roll. Doyle's wide open in that left corner to make it 40. At that point, it was 46-10. And then the PAT goes in, and then Kendrick Bourne gets a cheapy touchdown in the last couple of minutes in the fourth quarter. But this game was just a game in which you saw right from the get-go, the Bills were more prepared. They were the better team. They were the more talented team. They were the more disciplined team. Dante Hightower had a penalty here. The Patriots had a couple of others here and there. Face masks, some unsportsmanlike. Just not good stuff there out of New England. And sometimes, in these games, it's mostly been on the Buffalo side of things where that has happened, right? So, this team is cleaned up right now. I mean, that's all there is to it. They're playing with an unbelievable amount of confidence. The cold did not bother them. Allen was spectacular. The offensive line, I said it a while ago, and I think some people have misunderstood what I was saying weeks ago about the Bills being able to run the football. I'm all in on the run game. All in on it. If you have the proper personnel. If you don't have the proper personnel, you can't run the football. They didn't have downfield blockers. They didn't have a healthy offensive line. They didn't have a together offensive line because of that health. And they didn't have this guy, Motor Singletary, then either. I mean, they had him, but they didn't have this Devin Singletary. He's been spectacular for the Buffalo Bills last few weeks. I didn't see this coming from him. And boy, is that offseason program really paying off right now, that conditioning program. He went for 81 yards and 16 carries and 2 touchdowns. When you blend that in with Josh Allen, Isaiah McKenzie some jet sweeps. You run it for 174 yards, and Josh Allen throws for 25. I'm all in on it. I'm not all in on Sean McDermott going back to, Jim Thorpe football or Red Grange football and just trying to force the rundown when you have a terrible offensive line / healthy offensive line, and you don't have any kind of real big-time running threat. Singletary has now become a running threat. Terrific job by Allen spreading the wealth, too, to the, pardon me, the receivers. Dawson Knox, gotta love doing videos and sneezing. Dawson Knox, 5 catches, 89 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Dawson Knox played an elite game at tight end, and I know Waller gets the talk. Kelsey gets the talk. George Kittle gets the talk. Look, I mean, Dawson Knox right now, I'm so glad the Bills stuck with this guy because all he's done is work really hard, and he had a couple of those little spots where he's dropping balls this season. But other than that, he's come back with a vengeance and been great this year. Stephon Diggs, 3 catches for 60 yards. Really quiet game for Stephon Diggs, but it didn't matter in this particular game. I think they're going to need Stephon Diggs next week, presumably against Kansas City at Arrowhead, of course, a place where he watched that at the end. Remember that game ended? He went out and he watched the celebration. That's still in that guy's head. I think he wants that game more than any other. McKenzie gets in it. Gabe Davis gets in it. And here's the thing. There were 2 big things with the Bills that I thought this game was going to really come down to. And the Patriots, I do give them credit offensively. I thought they had the right game plan. It was just they got snuffed. And I'm going to get to that in just a second. But, 3rd down, the Patriots early, right? Remember on that first drive? They got a couple of 3rd and longs. I mean, Mac Jones kind of scrambled around. He flipped that ball over to Henry along the right side. And then he scrambled for like 15, 20 yards. On a 3rd and 10, somehow got away from the Bills' rush. I think they over-pursued. I think Addison and Hughes were in the backfield, if I remember correctly. And Jones just kind of came out and ran away from it. So they got a couple of 3rd downs early. They said, oh, geez. But the Bills made plays. The Bills ended up stuffing and snuffing drives. And obviously, just a short time after that, Micah Hyde made one of the most unbelievable interceptions I've ever seen in my life. It was a good throw by Mac Jones down the left side. Single coverage, and then all of a sudden Hyde comes over, and he just kind of almost makes an over the head and shoulder sort of basket catch. It was just amazing. And touchback, and then the Bills got the ball back. And I thought that play right there, even though the Bills were up 7-0, they scored first, they set the tone. That play right there sent the Bills into up another level. That Micah Hyde play was unbelievable. We've seen that out of secondary guys, right? We saw Taron Johnson last year, the Ravens, the pick 6 and all the rest. Bills defense played pretty darn good. They picked off Mac Jones twice. That was the highlight for me with Mac Jones or with Micah Hyde. As far as the rest of the defense, guys were everywhere. They were on the ball. Matt Milano, everywhere. Snuffing out screenplays. Tremaine Edmonds, again, leads the team in tackles. 8 total, 6 solo. Terrific stuff from Dane Jackson. Boogie Basham got a sack. They ended up getting 3 total sacks in this game. Jerry Hughes and Star Latulippe with the others. But everybody was everywhere. Harrison Phillips, A.J. Klein. Everybody was moving up and getting in the plays. Tyler Matakevich had 3 tackles and 2 solo in mop-up time. So, the defense was really, really good. Had a great game plan. The Bills were just the better team. They were better, better coached. They didn't make as many mistakes, and they were more complete, and they have number 17. So the Bills win at 47-17. We await who they play next week. Obviously, the Chiefs should beat the Steelers today, but it's, you never know. Anything can happen. We're all rooting, clearly, for Pittsburgh because that means another home game for the Buffalo Bills. Great game plan by Dable, Leslie Frazier, Sean McDermott. Players executed. It was a complete wash of the Patriots by the Buffalo Bills. Mike Lindsley with you here. It's an ML Sports Take brought to you by our great friend Brian Comboy, Mass Mutual, New York State. Log on to advisors.massmutual.com today and get your financial future set with Brian Comboy. He's also a diehard Bills fan. He was there last night. Big thanks as well to Stanley Law Offices, our great friends at Bruton Ace Hardware, and Rosie's Corner. As I always tell you, enjoy the games.